Stop treating your kids like they're Amazon packages. Listen, good things take a long time. Kids are an investment. They're not a one-time purchase. And so maybe it feels like what you're saying, what you're teaching, it's not landing. It's okay. It's like a seed, okay? It takes a long time for that seed to show up above the ground. There's a lot of growth happening that you can't see yet. So don't be discouraged. Don't give up. Keep on going. It's going to work in the long run. Keep your patience. Don't lose your temper. Your words matter, and watch it pay out in the long run when your kid becomes a person that you believe they can be.
So, really, really good. The idea of investing in our kids like you would like a seed that's in the ground and you're watering it because you want to become a plant really connects with me, because honestly, like, I feel like when your kids are small and you're giving instruction, you're saying, giving your day in, day out, like, you're just there's some days where you're like, I don't know if they're really understanding what I'm asking them. I don't think they know what I expect of them, or I don't think they know, but I think that I have to like stop and remind myself, like, hey, I'm an example that kids do listen, like if your parents are faithful to the process and have a goal, a vision for how they want to raise their kids, like, and they stick to it and they don't waver, like, good things are going to come from it.
Yeah.
So the idea of like, don't look at instant results, but just keep investing and pouring into this seed, because eventually, like, that seed will become a plant, a tree that is going to show fruit of everything you put into it. I think is something that resonates with me a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's just part of kind of the human experience, right? I mean, like, look at yourself 10 years ago, and look at yourself now and say that there wasn't growth that happened, right? But I think it's easier to really fall victim for that with younger kids, just because you feel like, oh, like they should know this, like there is this decorum kind of thing, like, oh, they should already know. I've told them this yesterday kind of thing. But the only way that it really instills is again, like a good, healthy expectation of what it is, right? And I have to remind myself, hey, just because I told them that yesterday doesn't mean that they remember today.
Yeah.
Right. And instead of looking at it as like, they're not living up to my standards, maybe it's an opportunity for me in order to instruct them, right? Like, kind of the same with the drill sergeant kind of thing, right? Where it's like, oh, the team didn't complete the course. Like, we could blame the team, but more likely maybe the leader should have done a better job leading, right?
Yeah.
So, and really instill that and saying, hey, this is just an opportunity for me to be able to grow in patience, be able to grow in instruction, I think is another kind of like important one. So that's good.
I think also the something that you hit on is like, there's two things happening at once, right? Like, we're investing in our kids, we're giving them instruction, we're giving them, passing on these morals, these ideas, a legacy. And so in our mind, it's like we're raising our kids, but at the same time, like, we're growing up too, right? Like, I'm as a father, as a man, growing older and maturing even more and more, growing more wise, hopefully, right? Like, so there are two things happening at once. It's like I'm investing in my kid, but at the same time, like, I'm also changing and adjusting along that process. Cause, like, as you said, like, the father that I was the first year when Abel was born is not the same dad I am now.
Yeah.
And so a lot of those instructions and ideas that I'm passing on to my kids, they may be pointed towards the same direction, but the packaging of them are different.
Yeah.
I've shared this plenty on the podcast that, like, I really dealt with a lot of, like, just frustration and anger when the kids were younger, because I guess I wanted to see the instant results.
Yeah.
I wanted to see them listen to what I was telling them and then show that they heard what I said, right? Like, and with small kids, with toddlers, like, that's just not realistic,
right.
So I think it's a great reminder for us dads to know, like, hey, even on the hard days where it seems like they're not paying attention, just keep like being persistent, be faithful to the process, be faithful to who you are, and be faithful to the direction that you want your kids to go, raising them that way. And in due time, you'll see like the fruit of your labor, the fruit of your investment, you know? When Abel was born, I was a youth pastor at the time, and or I was serving on the youth team at that time. And I remember that I had a feeling of like, I'm really excited about my firstborn that's coming, but I also understand there's going to come a time where I'm going to have to like put pause on ministry to be home, like help my wife, right? Like all that. And I honestly didn't really know how to feel about how I felt about it. Like, because I really enjoyed ministry. I have a deep sense of like, what's a fulfillment like through ministry. And one of my friends just kind of really like hit the light bulb in my head. He was like, having a kid is your opportunity to disciple somebody from the very first day they were born for the rest of your life or their life. And being somebody who's serving on the youth team and discipling young people, I was like, oh shoot, like, yeah, like this is, I get to have an impact in somebody's life from the very first day that they were born.
Yeah.
Rather than getting them when they're 12, 13, 14, you know, and they already got all these ideas. Like this was my chance to like grab somebody when they were born and really invest and disciple in them from that very first day. And it really kind of just flipped the perspective of like, oh, well then this isn't something I shouldn't feel like bittersweet about, or I shouldn't feel like, you know, I'm missing out on ministry, because this is ministry, and what I have the opportunity to do is gonna like impact this child, this person's life forever. And so I thought that was like a really cool way of looking at it, because I wasn't looking at it that way, you know?
Well, think about how much growth happens, right? I mean, like 5 years, 5 years ago, how much has changed, physically for you, emotionally, that kind of thing. 0 to 5, you have, a baby who cannot last more than 5 minutes without someone being there.
Right.
To 5 years old, speaking in sentences, running, jumping, eating solid foods. Like there's so much that happens within those first 5 years.
Yeah.
And again, I understand like the sense of like, we want it now, but there's so much that happens within those, first couple of years. Nevertheless, into 10, into 15, that kind of thing that, it's playing the long game. It's seeing that growth, and then, providing an opportunity like, hey, I'm the adult here. Mm-hmm. Like I need to be able to impart wisdom, but they just change all the time. So
yeah, they do.
It's tough.
Yeah. I mean, thinking about my kids, like Abel's going to be 10 this year. And so the way I would communicate to him, even just last year, is not going to be the same way, like he's very smart, and he reads a lot, and he watches a lot of YouTube videos about interesting things and how things work. So his mind's already programmed to think like, I see this, but his mind's already thinking like, how is this made? What goes into making this thing? And it's like, so he's already like beyond just what he sees, but even the things he doesn't see, so those conversations are immediately different, because I can't just, hey, see that, and he can't just be that, because he's going to be like, well, why is it like that?
Right.
And those are questions that are like, oh, I don't know. Why is it like that?
Let me get back to you that.
Yeah, let me Google it real quick. I'll let you know. But really cool dad tip, again, from Dads Who Try. They're on Instagram, YouTube. Check them out. Really cool stuff.